Okay, so like Helen said, we did Box Butte County and then we did a Marketing Hometown America project.
So in our project, we had, as Marissa stated, the Marketing Hometown America project, which the cohort groups were already established when we got there. So when we showed up, they already had a list of people that were assigned in the groups, and we basically were told from our lead mentor just to attend the meetings and figure out who these people are. And that really helped us develop who the stakeholders are in the community in the first few weeks, and then it also helped us develop what these people really want. Because in the Marketing Hometown America project, the questions are really difficult, and they really drive people to think, and they really make them think about what their communities are and what they can do to better improve it. And some of these people worked for Burlington Northern Railway, and they're just people that had moved into the communities, or they're the people that have lived there for 30 plus years and never really thought of these questions. Another part we did was we created hashtags, and that was within our first few weeks. So we have hashtag Our Alliance, hashtag Hemingford is Home, and hashtag Bountiful Berea, which are the three villages, cities in the county. Our main project, though, was to create a under 5-minute video to attract and retain residents to Box Butte County. And another part we did was we updated their photo and video library, as well as we networked within the community. We made the greatest connections with the greatest people. I am so thankful that I was able to be in Western Nebraska and develop those connections.
Okay, so the so what part is the impact on the communities. So we helped communities identify their assets, make them think about things that they have never thought about before, came up with new ideas for Box Butte development to use in the future, to promote their business more and their organization. And then since we had the whole county, we helped promote the county in general and then all the businesses within the county. And then the impact on the people we met, we provided connections and created relationships through rural communities we had never been to, and through like me and Haley growing up in rural environments and them living in a rural place. Even though different parts of the state, we still all connected because we're Nebraskans. And then we also provided perspective of the younger generation, which I think they really appreciated. They told Haley and I how thankful they were that we wanted to be there and wanted to come there, because they don't have a very, that younger generation isn't very well represented. And so the reason for making the video is to help promote that. And then we help tell the story of Box Butte County in general, what they're all about and why it's a great place to live.
So as we thought about how we grew as leaders, I think I really gained a new perspective. I've came from a rural community. I've have family members that are in business in rural communities. We have employees in business. And I understand that if we don't have these companies, we don't have a rural community. And I really saw that in Alliance, who the stakeholders were. If the railroad is down, the town is down. If the railroad is up, the town is up. So when we were out there, fortunately, the railroad was hiring. So we liked the railroad. And it was just really fun to see the different parts of that and see how that really played into the town. And it really had an impact on my life because it drives me now to really appreciate that and really want to give back to my community. And I really want to create that impact that they have created on their county.
So for me, since I grew up right in between Omaha and Lincoln in a small town, I think just in general, I was way out of my comfort zone out there. And I mean, that helped me grow as a person. I'll never forget any of that. I learned how to be on my own. And I mean, just in general, like we completely invested in that county for 3 months and then just to leave, it was really sad.
It was hard to leave.
Yeah, it was really hard to leave. And I think like those last couple of days, everybody was like, oh, when are you guys leaving? And we were like, pretty soon. And like, oh, I'm gonna miss you guys. And so I think just like as a leader, it made me happy to know that I made an impact on a place in just 3 months. So I think that is one of the main reasons I grew.
And then when I think about how we're different, I talked with Marissa before we went out there. We have a cabin at Lake McConaughey, and that's probably the farthest west I really ever had been. You know, I come from the cattle industry. I really appreciate ranches, and I really want a ranch now after this. But I really started appreciating what we could do somewhere I've never been. I didn't know really anyone from Alliance, but it was amazing the different connections people had and how trustworthy these people were. We got to drive around this lady's ice cream truck after meeting her for one day. She's like, oh, I'm going to be gone. You guys can just drive it around and sell my ice cream and just put the money back in my house. I have the code to her house. It was just amazing how we are just college students, and people mark our generation as not being as trustworthy and as successful as we are. And those people, it didn't matter. They didn't know where we came from. They were just like, we trust you and we know you're going to make a difference.
And I think also for both Haley and I, we realized that rural communities are full of possibilities for young adults, and just they're thriving in Nebraska and in the Midwest and even in America. And I think we also talked a lot about, since we didn't have like those bigger chains out there, we realized how important it is to buy local and support those local businesses, because that's all they have. And so I think just in general, I learned to appreciate my town more and where I grew up, and I know Haley did as well.
So we think about our key takeaways. This internship really pushed me out of my bubble. It really made me be grateful from where I come from and really have a place in my heart for Box Butte County. I really appreciate that place, and I really am glad I got the opportunity to be 4.5 hours away from home, because I didn't get to go home very often, but I really appreciated the relationships and the networking that I made out there, because it made it feel like I was at home.
So my key takeaway would just be, like, for future students, to be a part of Real Futures Institute. I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great way to, like I said, step out of your comfort zone and just try new things and give a new place a place to call home, because I definitely think that Haley and I can call that place home.
So when we think about our biggest learning moments, we learned a lot while we were out there. We learned a lot about ourselves personally. We grew individually and as leaders, and then we also learned a lot about what is expected in the workplace and how we should do that professionally when we get jobs. There's a lot of things that really are going to impact us as we grow and we continue. Like, Marissa's going to graduate in May. This will really help her as she makes that transition into the workforce.
And then also kind of what we learned in order to strengthen our presentation. Haley and I presented a lot out there, and then we also had to introduce ourselves probably 15 times a day. So you really learn, like, don't be afraid to talk to anybody or put yourself out there. But yeah, presenting, we presented a lot, and everybody was like, you guys are you're naturals. And we're like, well, we're kind of used to it now. But yeah, so I guess that's the main reason, just practice.
Mm-hmm. And I think now that when I came back to Lincoln, I'm more apt to buy local versus going to Hy-Vee to a major food chain. You know, I want to go to the farmer's market on the Haymarket now. I'm not going to buy my vegetables at Hy-Vee while it's still there. That's really what I think has transitioned me to, because being out there, that's a lot of the opportunities that people really pushed, and I learned a lot from it.
So these are some of the pictures that we took. So the main focus of Marketing Hometown America was to make sure that there were people and they showed life in Box Butte County. So of course the staple, Carhenge, love that place. And then this little boy is in front of the Central Park Fountain in Alliance. And then the last one is the Cattle Capital Rodeo Play Days, which our boss is in charge of. So that was pretty cool to get to enjoy that.
We did embed our final video into this presentation. It is close to 5 minutes, so we do not have time today to present it, but we're hoping that it'll be uploaded online so people can watch it. But we did actually make 6 videos. 2 were used for tourism, 3 explained the mission of Box Butte development, and then this is our final video that everyone was anxiously waiting for.
So then we also did volunteer hours, of course. So at Carhenge, we painted tires and then put flowers in the tires in order to help beautify the attraction. We actually did 6 tires. The other 2 tires are by the door, by the pit stop. And then we fixed some vandalism on the cars.
We also helped with Bands on the Bricks, which is held every Friday in July in Alliance and the first Friday in August in Hemingford. And it's just brings a band in downtown, gets people out in the community, really supports the local businesses, and we had a lot of fun helping sell t-shirts and working the entrance gates.
And then part of Alliance Heritage Days, they have a Sunday lunch in the park. So Haley and I passed out chips to guests that were there, and then we also took pictures and video of that event as well.
And then I think one of my favorite volunteer activities, I showed cattle for 12 years. So when the extension agent told me that she didn't really know how to run a progress show, I was all game. And so I was a check-in assistant, and I helped announce it. And it was really fun because I got to see a lot of kids that I had shown with over the years, and I really was able to share my knowledge on how to do that.
Are there any questions?
Great job, ladies.
Thanks.
Wow, very impressive. And Marissa, I'm so glad that you got a lot of personal insight because when you come to class tonight, that's one of the things, the
I
assignments
know.
you'll have is your individual identity story. So I'm excited for that. Any questions?
So who did you work with in Marketing Hometown America? Who are your connects there?
So Box Butte Development Corporation was like where our office was, but they were also, we had an advantage because their office, they share it with Alliance Chamber of Commerce. And through like BBDC, since she works for the whole county, that made the connections through Hemmingford. And I mean, she knows
A lot of people.
everybody. So through like those advantages is how we got to know like people downtown, chamber businesses, and then our host family, she was the old Box Butte Development executive director. So when we first arrived there, the very first day, I mean, we were there at what, like 6 o'clock at night, and
Yeah.
she gave us a tour of the whole town like that night. So like we knew because of just those people that were in our office, and then the host family, host team, it kind of all like spider webbed.
Were there any extension educators involved in the Marketing Hometown America piece? Do you know?
I don't believe so. They had, well, wait, no. Like with the state? Yes.
Yes.
Jenny Nixon was involved.
Great.
And we got to meet her with our final forum.
Yeah, I was curious because, and I don't know, maybe you learned this as you went, but Marketing Hometown America is actually a competitive award from the Rural Futures Institute through Extension. So it's great to see. We've had other Serviceship students go out and help with that, but we know that this connection with that program, Extension, our faculty out of state, like Jenny, for example, and Community Vitality, and the students just make this wonderful mix of community vitality and sort of that future of those communities. So that's great. Just was curious around that. Thank you.
Yeah, so there were 4 teams, I believe, 4 groups. There was one from Hemmingford, and then the other 3 were from Alliance, and they like had like a facilitator. So Haley and I went to the one that our lead mentor did, but the other 3 were someone from Hemmingford did one with a group from Hemmingford, and then the other 3 were all people from Alliance. And so they came up with their answers of what they wanted to do and fix in Box Butte County. And then all the leaders met with Haley and I, with Jenny, and then I think we talked about how to narrow it down to 4 options. And then we had the community event where like the community voted on what they wanted to change.
Great. Yeah, it's been a very successful program. I know they've had, outside funding come in, USDA funding, philanthropy to support that. It's in several states, so it's great that you've been a part of that now.
Just real quick, Alliance for me was a community that I was nervous about just because we hadn't had experience there before. We didn't know about the strength of leadership, et cetera, et cetera. I was really overwhelmed when we came out to visit the 2 of you and to see the very positive experience that you were having. Once again, you built so many relationships in and around that community, and it was expressed here in your presentation. How'd that happen? I mean, how much of it was you were drug around and introduced? How much of it was your own initiative and just going out and getting to know people?
So I would say that probably 60% of it was probably being drug around. But then the other 40, like the ice cream truck lady, she was just like driving down the street, and Haley and I were like, "Hi, we actually want to do some filming of your ice cream truck." And then she like invited us over to dinner. at her house.
Yeah, it was great.
And then a week later, she let us drive it around. So, and like when we had the project at Carhenge, like we knew the whole Carhenge staff, and like by the time we were done with the project, and so like people were asking us questions. They thought we worked there. So like things like that, and just like going and like if our lead mentor suggested a place we should go, we'd just be like, okay, we'll go, see ya. And then we just like went and was like, hi, I'm Marissa, I'm Haley. Can we take videos and do pictures for a Marketing Hometown America project? And they were like, sure. So a lot of it was just like,
It was very,
yeah.
I didn't realize the impact we had until probably closer to the end. They had a party for us going away, and this is actually one of the gifts we were given. It's a t-shirt, and this is Boxview County, and then it has our hashtags on the back. So this is something I'll keep forever. But when we had our party, all the people that we just like met came to this party, and we were like, we're so sad you're leaving. And I just couldn't believe how, it's amazing to me how many people actually came. And I guess Marissa's favorite basketball player growing up was Jordan Hooper, and she's actually from Alliance, and she was home this summer, and she attended our party. And one thing she said to me, which resonated to me really well, is she goes, I'm not here a lot, but I'm really glad you're fixing my home, helping fix my home. And that was really cool that somebody like that, into that capacity of being overseas and playing basketball all over the world, really cares about her home and was really glad to see us and took the time out of her day to come to our party.
Well done.
So yeah. Also, Haley and I designed these shirts. So that's
they
pretty
did,
cool.
They just told us to get a shirt and we designed it.
So we picked out the shirts and
Yeah.
then we designed them. So
Yeah, this is something I'm really excited about this shirt.
yeah.
You guys made an awesome team. So
Yeah, we did. We're very different, but it worked.
it worked. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.